Hey team, this is Abby. I just wanted to go over a resource that we've mentioned before, but we haven't really dug into, but that could be a really great and easy way for us to integrate reading and reading comprehension and analysis into our modules. So if you go to Cloud Connect and log in, you're going to see this actually on your applications, and you're going to go to Common Lit. So first of all, I just want to give a shout out to Nikki because Nikki has really been exploring this resource this week to figure out how and if it could be integrated into what we're doing, and it can. And it also, I think, potentially will save us a lot of time having to create our own questions and student responses, because this actually has these things embedded right here. So the first thing I want to show you on Common Lit is your library. And within your library, you can find documents based on different types of, you can browse by different things. So you can actually browse by a specific book. If you were reading a book, you can go by genre. So like if you're going to do poetry, you could go up and search exclusively for poems. You can search by grade level, and you can search by literary device. So, you wanted to talk about figurative language, you could click on that and it would find ones that had activities and resources that were specifically linked to figurative language. You can do text sets that are based specifically on some type of topic, like the Holocaust or horror and suspense, or there's a lot that relate to different places in history. And there's even one that says middle school text for learning at home. That could be potentially helpful. And then you can also do them by theme. So if you've been discussing a particular theme in your class, this might be a great place for you to explore that or gather more resources to be able to add that to what you're doing. It also does have Spanish text. I haven't really looked much at that, but wanted to show you that. Another feature is that they have units already compiled, and they are responding obviously to the situation that we are currently in. And so they have actually come up and put together some distance learning units on particular topics that include like 3 or 4 different texts for the students to use, a vocabulary activity, and a final assessment. So each of these are downloadable and also easy to assign to your class as an activity. And you could assign all of them, you could assign some of them, and just put them into your module so that it's just something that the students are doing step by step. So there's a vocab activity that the kids can work on. And then there's also the reading assignments that have different features that I'll show you in a minute. And then the final assessment actually has them writing a multi-paragraph essay that incorporates evidence from these previous sources. So it's a great way for them to synthesize that information. So check out those units, and if you want to use those, go for it, because I think that that could be a really easy way for us to be connecting students to doing this type of stuff. Okay, so going back to the library, I wanted just to show you how to look for assignments or look for text. Another thing you can do is if you know the title of a story, you can search for it right here. But I like to kind of search by genre because it gives me options. So let's look at literary devices. Let's say that I want to talk with my students next about figurative language. So if that's the case, I can actually go here, and in the library, it's going to give me all different types of documents. If I want to narrow that down, I'm going to maybe select the grade levels that I want to be able to pull information from. And then I'm going to select a document that I want my kids to read. So let's say that I want to select medicine bag. So in each of the reading assignments that you can assign to your students, there's different features. So one of the things I like is that it will read it aloud to your students. So you don't have to now find a second audio version of the text for them to have it read to them. It could translate different sections, and then also the students can annotate. So let's say like a student was reading and they highlighted this bit of information. That gives them the option they can highlight that text in whatever color they want, or they can add the annotation right there. So all of their annotations are saved and you'll be able to see what they've highlighted and what they've commented on. So you could potentially assign an annotation task to your students right on here. The next thing that they have throughout the text are called guided questions. These come up with this little circle, and you can actually, when you're assigning it, make it guided question or guided reading mode. And what I liked about that is that it chunked the text and has the students answer a question for each of the chunks of text before moving on to the next section. So that's a great way for them to kind of check if they have, how they've done. There are assessment questions at the end that relate to all different types of literary devices and standards. So, this one talks a little bit about theme, and there's some comprehension questions, and ask them to support it with evidence, and there's some points of view things going on here. So there's all kinds of good questions, and then it also allows them to participate in some discussion questions. I haven't really seen so much about that, but maybe even if they're just thinking about it right now, that's a good thing. Okay, so let's say I want to assign this text. So as a teacher, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Assign Text, and then I'm going to select the classes that I want to assign this to. So let's say I want to assign this to these two classes. I'm going to write any other notes on here that I want them to annotate on. So these are the annotation tasks specifically. And then I can select the guided reading mode. And I can do that for the whole class, or I can do that for one or more individuals. And then I can select the due date. So let's say that I want it done for, next week. And then I'm going to hit assign. And then the cool thing about that is that now I can choose how I want to give that to my students. If you are just going to assign this exclusively and not include a module slideshow presentation, then you can just assign it on Google Classroom like this. If you are going to embed it into a module, then I would copy these links and then I would paste those links onto your module, or each as an assignment on your module. So that's what I would recommend doing. Okay, so I'm actually going to close that because I'm not really going to share this assignment with the students yet. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is you can see assignments for your classes. Actually, I'm just going to select on my classes real quick. If you go to Manage Classes, this is important. So this is something that Nikki and I discovered, is that you already have your classes embedded through Cloud Connect through Clever. However, those don't allow you to link things to Google Classroom directly. You can, when you assign something, copy the links and connect them to Google Classroom, but you can't directly upload. So what we actually did instead is we just created a new class, and then we imported classes from Google Classroom, and then that allowed us to sync them directly with Google Classroom. So if you want to do that, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just know that if you just assign things through these, you will be limited on how you can assign them. You can't assign them directly, but you can copy the links once you've assigned it and embed those into your module. So after that, also you are able to see what your students have done. Mine haven't had anything assigned to them yet. I have some stuff embedded for the next week, but I'm excited to see what this looks like once they've done something. So yeah, so feel free to check this out. Again, I think it's a great way to embed things into our modules without us having to go and find all of these other documents and all of these other texts, because that is just really, really time consuming, as you guys all know, because you guys have been working on all of this. Okay, well, thank you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a fabulous day. Bye.